SMT Nation, we back. We're going to be talking about a company today that doesn't make it on the show much, but I think it's worth talking about, and it's kind of has its place within the industry. It's going to also kind of tangle in cable, so I want to talk about this U.S. Cellular story, and then also AT&T FirstNet and Band 14 as the superior first responder network. We'll dice apart an article. I'll link both of those there in the description. Starting first with the U.S. Cellular story. U.S. Cellular loses another 40,000 subs in Q2. All right, this on the heels of a Q1 where they lost over 40,000 subs. All right, so now that's 2 quarters in a row with very similar losses. No surprise here, according to those that are following this story. There's a large switching pool. Looks like churn has been an issue at the company, and U.S. Cellular says that they have responded according to their representation. The offer that we launched here is specifically designed to address that, he said. The goal is how do we get customers back in a contract? All right, so this is an old-fashioned way of keeping your customers. You get them in on a device, you put them on payments or whatever, 2-3 year agreement for paying off a device, installment plans, and then they pay their bill accordingly. All right, so this is essentially a contract. The unfortunate thing about this is it indicates that the company, US Cellular, is not looking at this like, oh, we could just improve pricing, make ourselves more competitive compared to whomever is taking our customers. In my estimation, I think a lot of these 36-month installment contracts, some we see from AT&T as well, uh, eventually people want to get out of those if the service starts to falter or their bill is too expensive for them. Obviously, life can happen and economics can change with people's employment situations and such, and they might need to get out of those things. So people are kind of looking at that and saying, how do I get cheaper service? And it's the cable operators. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here as the follow up to this. When you look at a company like US Cellular, they're losing customers to any of the providers that serve within their footprint. Okay, so we're talking about the likes of Comcast, with Xfinity service, and then also Spectrum Mobile, right, with Charter. And I think, when you look at the US Cellular network, I mean, it's fine for where they serve. It's usable, but they don't have the national footprint. A lot of those individuals will be roaming once they leave their home serving area, and they can probably get more competitive rates from other companies, specifically those cable MVNOs. And they've got that collection of Wi-Fi hotspots, and I think that's what we're seeing here. The 40,000 lost in Q2, the 44,000 lost in Q1. I mean, that's a lot of customers to lose when you're just a regional player. They're not T-Mobile, they're not Verizon, they're not AT&T. Losing 40,000 is substantial, especially 2 quarters in a row. That's a trend. Hey, they're saying that they're going to be fixing this, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that pays out for them. Now, in this second story here, it says room for tower growth. For those of you that don't know, US Cellular does have its own network. They do have their own tower sites, and part of their business model is being able to co-locate other carriers on their towers, and they pay rent, and royalties for being on those tower sites, and they're looking for business in that way, and I think that's a great option. Even though it means it's kind of counterproductive to people being on their service, I mean, it's money. It's a revenue stream. You already built the tower for yourselves. You might as well have other carriers on there as well. All right, so it says here it costs a lot of money to put a tower in rural America. That is fact. Let's not forget that this range of $600,000 to $700,000 per tower does not really include the difficulty in getting proper backhaul to these sites. So even if you have, like in the case of Verizon, 200 megahertz of C-band available in licenses in a specific region, doesn't necessarily mean you have the backhaul to push it available on that site. A lot of rural sites have microwave backhaul. They might be capped or limited under 500 megabits per second, 500 meg fiber, which is half a gig. And that might be fine, but it limits what you're going to want to do with your network. A lot of these rural places could appreciate and use fixed wireless access. The only way you're going to do that is with a lot of spectrum and proper backhaul. All right, so these are a lot of things that go into play here, talking about this wireless and fixed wireless piece. It's a topic for another day, but here's a couple of things to look at here. Interesting about US Cellular, I never knew. It says here their ARPU is $50.07. That's better than T-Mobile, I think. If I remember correctly, I think T-Mobile is around $47. So while they don't have the volume that T-Mobile does, they do make more money. They're more profitable than them. The handset churn rate was 1.10, so that's pretty bad. Comparatively, I think T-Mobile is like under zero point 0.9. I think they have been in the Magenta brand for several quarters now. T-Mobile, as well as Verizon and AT&T are always under this number. So clearly the churn is high. They also lost in prepaid customers too, minus 4,000. Who knows where they went? Prepaid churn at 4.07. That's a little high. I have seen some pretty bad churn in prepaid. I've seen it around 5% for the really bad prepaid carriers, but typically the good ones are around 3%. So this number is much, much higher than it should be. Anyways, a little bit of US Cellular, something we don't cover often. All right, to the interesting story, in my opinion. AT&T executive says band 14 spectrum makes FirstNet superior. This is from Linda Hardesty. All right, now it's hard to argue this, and these are some good points here from Scott Agnew, AT&T's assistant VP for FirstNet. He said what makes FirstNet special is their band 14 spectrum. All right, so here's why. It says we have a specific number of towers for band 14 across the nation, although we have priority and preemption. All right, so priority, giving people the top of the totem pole, and then preemption, booting people off of tower sites during times of emergency and keeping those first responders on all our bands. Is the worst cases, that lane is dedicated to public safety. Band 14 is special in that way. All right, also the mention of high power user equipment, or what's referred to as HPUE. And for those of you that have never heard of this is actually a tool that's on devices. Right now, this band is a very powerful band. It's a low band. It's a low frequency. It travels really far, and it penetrates indoors and buildings probably as best as anything could. Right, lower bands. Uh, but, but really, I think the magic for band 14 and HPUE is going to be on not really so much the handheld devices, but more so like the dedicated devices that are on emergency vehicles and such, the first responder vehicles. So we're talking about equipment, different types of hotspots and network access points and, whatever other routers or specialty connectivity devices, IoT stuff that these agencies and first responders use. Those high power devices that are installed in emergency vehicles could increase and improve coverage, have a better experience if they were to be taken indoors, probably into lower levels and things like that. Think about like gateways and hotspot and mobile gateways, especially giving better coverage. Probably because of that, higher data rates, you can get a better RSRP and a cleaner signal. That's where things get special for this. And band 14 being a high power band and having such clean propagation characteristics allows that to really make the connection with AT&T and FirstNet special. All right, they are now over 3.7 million connections. I think Verizon's at 5.1 for the first responders, and they're continuing to grow. Also mentioned here, there was something else I wanted to discuss here. Oh, it was the ecosystem. Okay, so most of you are familiar with the term ecosystem, a collection of tools that's built around a service, right? And Verizon as well as AT&T provide public safety ecosystems where it's things like, it's cruisers, it's response vehicles, it's sensors, ambulances, all these different connectivity devices, the IoTs of everything. They do a really nice job of all of this. And that's why they get a lot of the customers. Now, T-Mobile just did add what's known as WPS, which is essentially wireless priority service, giving priority to first responders. And that's good to see. But you can obviously identify there are things that AT&T is able to do with the first responder network with an actual dedicated FirstNet core, as well as Verizon having that long history of being, the supporter of first responders for decades now. That's what really separates them from anything else, and that's this is true. Band 14 is special. I mean, it was dedicated and it was made for situations like this and applications like this. All right, so I have to agree. I think this was this name Scott Agnew. I think he is right. Band 14 is special. Band 14 is what makes the first responder network unique. When you think about the spectrum assets, Verizon has band 13 national. You know, they also have band 5 throughout many parts of the country. So that's their low band. And then T-Mobile's got their 600 megahertz, their band 71, right? That's their low band. They've got a small slice of band 12. It's not very good. It's not even worth mentioning. But AT&T has tons of band 12 low band. They also have band 29 to a lesser extent, but they've got this band 14. And that's why I think the AT&T network does work really well for the first responder. The only thing is it's got to at some point truly match the Verizon network, because first responders, they're not all on FirstNet. Some of them are still on Verizon, and they have tried FirstNet and they have also left FirstNet. So that's going to have to be shored up if they're truly going to be the only first responder network. Until that, Verizon is the trusted network as well. Comment down below on this story from the AT&T Band 14 FirstNet and the executive commentary. Also, the U.S. Cellular Losses. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Comment down below. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, subscribe for more. Turn on that bell notification icon to never miss an upload. Links in the description for my Twitter handle, my Gmail address for business inquiries, and my Patreon page is there if you want to support us and get early access to content and exclusive videos not found anywhere else. Thanks again for watching. See you all in the next one. Peace.